Don't forget to like the video, share your thoughts or story in the comments, and subscribe so you never miss our latest moments together. Now, before I begin, tell me where you're rewatching from, my love, seeing which cities and towns gather here whenever I share a memory that stayed with me for years. And this one stayed not because something dramatic happened, but because something ordinary turned into a moment so unexpectedly meaningful. It was a weekend afternoon, the house full of noise and energy as Jacob and his friends came home after their basketball game, dropping their shoes everywhere, laughing loudly, and filling the rooms with that chaotic joy only teenagers can bring. I stood in the kitchen, slicing fruit and setting out extra juice, already knowing these boys could finish a jug faster than I could refill it. Among them was Ethan, one of Jacob's closest friends since middle school. A boy I had watched grow from lively and carefree into someone quieter, more thoughtful, more observant than the others. He was always polite, always helpful, a gentle presence who seemed to carry emotions in silence rather than noise. But that day I noticed something different while the others sprawled across the living room arguing about the game. Ethan lingered near the hallway, pacing slightly, his expression distant, as if rehearsing something quietly in his mind. When our eyes met, he gave me a small nod, not casual, but intentional, almost asking me to notice him. A few minutes later, the boys rushed outside again for another round, shoes thundering across the floor, laughter spilling into the backyard, everyone except Ethan, who stayed behind near the kitchen doorway, shifting his weight and glancing outside like he was checking whether he still had time to speak. "Everything okay?" I asked, drying my hands. He hesitated before answering, and in that hesitation I felt the weight of whatever he'd been carrying. "Mrs. Hayes, could we talk for a minute? Just us." His voice wasn't shaky, just careful, serious in a way that made me set the towel down right away. I led him to the dining table. He followed, but didn't sit immediately, resting his hands on the chair and taking a steadying breath. "I didn't want to say this in front of the others," he began, glancing toward the backyard, "and I didn't want Jacob to think I was being dramatic. But I've been carrying something for a while, and I didn't know who to talk to." I gestured for him to sit, and he did, clasping his hands tightly as if holding himself together. "You always listened," he said softly, eyes scanning the room, taking comfort in the familiarity. "Even when we were younger, you listened in a way that made people feel safe." His words touched something in me, and I leaned forward gently. "You can talk to me about anything," I told him. He nodded slowly, gathering himself as the room fell into that delicate stillness that appears when someone is ready to share what they've been silent about for too long. "It's been hard lately," he said. "Not just school or sports. Everything. And I didn't want to put more on Jacob. My dad isn't really the talking type. There was no dramatic sadness, just years of quiet frustration, the kind young people hide behind calm faces." I reassured him softly that he wasn't a burden. He exhaled, rubbing the back of his neck, finally allowing himself to ease. "There's something else," he continued. something that's been on my mind for a long time. When I come here, it feels different, calmer, like I can breathe. I didn't understand why until recently. His honesty wasn't uncomfortable. It was simply sincere. I guess I always felt seen here, he said, not judged or rushed, just heard. And I hope you don't think differently of me for saying that. I held his gaze, warm and steady. I don't see you differently, I replied. If anything, I see you more clearly now. He relaxed, the tension slowly softening from his shoulders. The boys' laughter from the backyard drifted through the window, contrasting with the emotional stillness around us. Ethan looked down at his hands before continuing. For months, I felt like I didn't belong anywhere. At home, everything feels tense. At school, I have to be the easygoing one. But here, I remembered moments from years ago, small things. You asking how my day was as if it mattered. You handing me a glass of water when I was upset after a game. I didn't forget that. His voice carried a sincere, vulnerable truth that had nothing to do with anything inappropriate. Was the emotional clarity of a young man finally recognizing the importance of being treated with patience and kindness. It's okay to feel connected to someone who made you feel safe, I told him gently, and he breathed out slowly, relieved. The hardest part, he said after a moment, was admitting I needed guidance. Not pressure, just someone to help me understand myself. And you were the only person I trusted with that. His voice didn't tremble. It was steady, honest, brave. I offered a soft reassurance. You're always welcome here, Ethan. Anytime. He stood a moment later. Calmer now, gratitude softening his expression. Thank you, he said quietly, for listening, for not judging, for being someone I could finally talk to when he stepped out to join Jacob and the others. The house didn't feel quieter. It felt filled with the quiet echo of trust, connection, and a moment of emotional clarity that neither of us would forget, a memory that still lives with me even now.